We're going to go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle Blanchett. I am here on behalf of the Earth Foundation, and we are excited because every month we are sharing an Innovator Spotlight. And this gives us an opportunity to showcase innovative teachers and change makers that are doing cool things in the education space. And so we're here today to share that with you. I really liked it. We just moved the slide, but someone in the chat box put the second statement lies like flat fish. I love that description of that. So fortunately, we are here today to talk about regenerative economics, what we feel might be the missing link in sustainability education, because yes, endless and aimless economic growth is not desirable and possible if we want to meet needs and wants within planetary boundaries. I also, of course, want to show you the Earth Prize. This is a student competition. It is aimed for young people aged 13 to 19. The Earth Prize is a chance for them to showcase their best solutions for the planet and to see if, of course, they can get the prize. Use this QR code to find out more. Students gain a lot from joining this. In addition to the potential to win, they have access to mentors, incredible programming. It really boosts a lot of skills as they think about what they can do to make an impact. In addition, we have a Green Accelerator cohort for teachers. Teachers have the possibility to win up to $500 micro grants for the projects that they're implementing in their communities. Just one of the many things that you can do and explore by joining the Earth Prize community. So today I would like to welcome our innovator, Jennifer Brandsberg-Engelmann. She is a former economics teacher, the project lead for regenerative economics for secondary schools, and she will be talking about a textbook that she is in the process of creating. So Jennifer, I will let you take it from here.
Hi, so thanks so much, Michelle, for the introduction. As you mentioned, I have been a teacher for a long time, actually teaching social sciences for almost 30 years, had my toes actually in a lot of different subjects, but most of that time was spent teaching economics in the International Baccalaureate program. But later in my career, I also taught much more business management and environmental systems and society. So I'm actually a rare teacher who has a background in both economics and environmental systems. In my time in the International Baccalaureate, I was also a senior examiner for many years and wrote 3 textbooks prior to the one that I am writing now on regenerative economics. Before we get started with the presentation in full, I thought we could give you a chance also to interact a little bit. And what I'm curious to know is what 3 words you associate with the economy when you hear that term. So this is something we can also do with students on their first day of class to sort of see what's in their heads already about what the economy is. But I'm also curious to hear from you what 3 words you associate. So I'm just going to give you a few seconds, not long, so it should be the first things that spring to mind, to put that into the chat quickly. And then we're going to come back to it a little bit later in the presentation. Okay, so Michelle, if you could kind of keep half an eye on that as they come in. I'm going to keep going, and then a little bit later we're going to come back to those 3 words that you put in to see how they match up with what students often say when they come into economics classes. So the inspiration for the work that we're doing in regenerative economics actually comes from the current conditions that we see out in the world, the meta crisis, which is also known sometimes as the polycrisis. These are the interconnected social and ecological crises that we have to deal with, caused by natural disasters as a result of climate change, mass migrations as a result of conflict, and also ecological degradation, the spread of pandemics, the development of artificial intelligence without guardrails, epidemics of mental health issues and loneliness, and the political polarization that we now see, which is also giving rise to many more leaders with authoritarian intentions. Our contention is that all of these crises that we face actually have at their root the way our economies are designed, that our economies are degenerative. They are undermining the health of social and ecological systems. And rather than helping to address these problems, the way we teach economics is actually perpetuating degenerative economies. And so we need to look closely not only at redesigning our economies, but redesigning our economics courses to support more regenerative thinking. Economics has actually a special place in our education system. So even though not everybody takes an economics course, we're all affected by what's taught in these courses. And that's because powerful people in society, in business, in politics, in media, have economics degrees, or if they don't, their advisors do. It's almost like a prerequisite for being in a position of power. And the economic worldviews that we teach people who take these courses, even in secondary schools, because that's oftentimes where the spark of an interest in economics starts through taking these courses. The economic worldviews that we teach are shaping the decisions that people in power make, how they act, and also the stories that they're telling when they become involved in media, for example, and politics. Now, before I get into the work that we've done, I think it's also really helpful to distinguish between a degenerative economy and a regenerative economy, because you might be uncertain about what that term means, and rightly so, because it's quite a complex idea, in part because it takes lessons from complex systems in nature. But in order to simplify this a bit, so you can have some idea of the direction of travel for the work that we're doing, I'll just talk about three things. So first of all, degenerative economies tend to be linear. They use a take, make, waste system of production where we're taking far too much from Earth systems. We're using it to produce things, not always things that we need, actually a lot of things that we don't need, and even things that hurt people. And in the end, we dump a lot of waste back into natural systems, which then feed back and undermine the health of those systems, then making it ever harder for us to sustain healthy ecological systems. In contrast, regenerative economies, learning lessons from nature, are circular. So instead of that take, make, waste linear system, we have a system that operates more like nature does in terms of circularity. So it's designed from the start to use materials that might be circulated back into nature because they're biodegradable, or we've used design that helps design out waste at the end of life, or we're finding ways to take materials at the end of their lives and cycle them back into the production system. Again, so we're learning the lessons of nature to try to disrupt those linear systems and transform them into circular systems. A second aspect of degenerative economies is that they are extractive and divisive. And what I mean by extraction is that power is often used to extract value from the many in society for the benefit of the few. So we see very many reinforcing feedback loops, power and wealth in society that enable people over time to have power over others and extract value from them, and undermining at the same time social cohesion and our social systems. We see through rising inequality, because of these reinforcing feedback loops of wealth and power, that our societies are becoming more polarized and divisive, again, undermining social cohesion and the health of relationships that we need in order to cooperate effectively. So regenerative economies, again, learning lessons from nature, are instead, they distribute power more widely. So we often talk about economic democracy as spreading power more widely and disrupting those reinforcing feedback loops of power. Reciprocity is more involved. So rather than extraction, we're thinking about ways to give as well as to receive in the economy. These economies are also more cooperative, and they are more caring. So care is really at the center, care for human beings in all kinds of contexts. So the third aspect of degenerative economies is that they are aimlessly and endlessly growing. Yeah, this is something that Michelle referred to in our two truths and a lie at the very start, right? This is the lie that our economies can grow forever and can grow aimlessly forever. Like it just doesn't matter what we make. And this is this aspect of our economies. It is one of the things that is undermining the health of our ecological systems, because we have blown past 7 of 9 planetary boundaries with this endless and aimless growth at the same time as we are not meeting the needs of everyone. And I'll show you a diagram for that in just a minute. So a regenerative economy is one that instead is needs-based and sufficient. So instead of producing whatever in the interest of growing and in the interest of providing jobs to do even things that are not good and healthy for human beings and ecological systems, instead we are reshaping our economy, guiding it back towards focusing on human needs. And we also then have to find ways of achieving sufficiency, of having a concept of enough, and embedding systems and designing systems that prioritize sufficiency rather than the kind of structural lock-ins for economic growth that we currently have. And this is one thing that we talk about in the book, these structural lock-ins, but we can redesign the economy to get out of them. So if there's a picture to shape the direction of travel that we want to go, it's these two images here. So these are two versions of the donut economics model. The one on the left is showing where our economies globally currently are. This is the most recent version of the donut economics model that was just recently released. And you can see in this model, in the middle is the social foundation. These are all the basic human needs that need to be met for humans to survive and thrive. And all that red in there indicates that we're leaving many people in the hole without the foundations, the basics that they need to survive and thrive. At the same time as we're not meeting human needs with our economies, we are also at the same time blowing past 7 of 9 planetary boundaries. It shows 6 on here, but since that was published, there's been official certification that the ocean acidification boundary has also been crossed. So that picture here shows that our economies, we produce a lot of stuff. And an economist might say that our economies are very efficient because we produce a lot, or we have high output relative to the inputs that we are using. But in actual fact, our economies are incredibly inefficient because the outcomes, the goals that we have for meeting human needs within planetary boundaries are not being achieved. We're blowing past the boundaries while still not meeting the needs of all. And so we require quite substantial economic transition in order to get to the donut on the right, which shows that we're leaving no one in the hole, that we're meeting needs within planetary boundaries. We're not overshooting those planetary boundaries. So this is the direction of travel that we're aiming. And this is a diagram that kind of shows what the idea of what's happening when we're trying to move from a dominant system into a new emergent system, and the kind of messiness that can happen in between. So we've got this dominant system that is blowing past planetary boundaries, not meeting human needs. And we need to move to the one where, with the safe and just space for humanity, where we're meeting the needs of all within planetary boundaries. And in between, on our way there, we're going to have to experiment, try new things. We're going to have to help hospice and decompose the old system while we're trying to help the new system emerge. And our economics courses, what we're teaching in economics and about the economy, have positions in this kind of hospicing of the old and bringing about the new. And our current economics course are acting as this kind of stabilizer. As we're making this transition, there are going to be lots of people, lots of groups, and ways of our social structures that are holding on to these old systems because they help preserve power in the current system. So people who have that power and have that wealth don't want to see this change. And our economics courses, I would contend, are these stabilizers. And what we're trying to do with the Regenerative Economics course is move in this direction. So the course is helping us hospice or decompose these old ways of thinking about the economy and helping us nourish new ways of thinking about the economy, and opening the door and making visible all the ideas that are currently on the table, and there are many of them, in order to bring us to the safe and just space for humanity. So that's where the old course and the new course are kind of positioned in this really chaotic, non-linear transition time that we're experiencing. So the question that we're trying to answer in this new course for regenerative economics is, how can we design economies that meet human needs within planetary boundaries? So this is a very forward-looking question. It's a futures-oriented question. It is also a playful question that invites experimentation and new ideas. And we see it as a very positive view. Like the course is definitely also recognizing all the things that are bringing about the crisis that we have, but we're looking at a lot of new ideas that are going to help us get to these new emergent systems of economic design. Now, this question is quite a bit different from the focus that our current economics courses have, which look like this. We have this very narrow focus on markets in these courses, and we treat all non-market activities as either marginalized, we marginalize it, or we completely ignore it. So students are being delivered a very narrow understanding of what the economy is through this very narrow lens of markets. And you can probably see that in the words you associated with the economy. And I don't know, Michelle, if you can tell me what were some of the things, maybe we've got a really enlightened group here. And so people didn't come up with sort of market-oriented words, but I'm curious
We
to know.
have, yeah, quality of life, growth, extraction, exploitation, needs, wants, possibilities, money, GDP growth, scarcity, transactions, markets, extractive, unjust, damaging. Those were the words.
Okay, great. Good. Yeah, so actually a really wide variety of terms also associated with new thinking and recognition of the way our economic systems are currently functioning. When you ask students this question, usually what you will see, we did a Mentimeter, in fact, with the International School of The Hague recently on their first day of Regenerative Economics course. They're doing a 2-year course now. And what you see in the middle of this Mentimeter, big words, markets, business, price, GDP, these kinds of things. So even 14-year-old kids who are coming into their very first economics course have already internalized this idea that when we talk about the economy, what we mean is market-based activity. So what this course is doing, though, is zooming out. So this is part of systems thinking, the ability to zoom in and zoom out. And so this course is zooming out on the economy to reveal that markets are not the only way we organize to meet human needs, that the state itself, it's not a marginal actor. Instead, it's also a part of the economy. It's a key provisioning institution. But also in our course, we've added in topics on the household and the commons. So we recognize and make visible all the unpaid household care and domestic work without which nothing would function in our economy. It's so fundamental and so important. And there's a lot to say about it. And so it gets its own topic in our course. And likewise, we have the commons, which are the self-organized communities managing shared resources, land, digital, cultural, scientific resources, etc. And that gets its own topic as well, because these are the two areas of the economy where care in the household and stewardship in the commons are extremely important. And they are extremely important if we want to regenerate our social and ecological systems. So we need to make them visible so we can also understand how better to support them on the part of the markets and state activity. But zooming out just on those provisioning institutions isn't enough. Yeah, we also want to zoom out to recognize that wider social systems and factors affect the economy, and that the economy and society is also embedded in Earth systems. So again, this zooming out that we're doing is helping students do more complex systems thinking because they see more parts to the economy, they understand more relationships in the economy, they understand the functions of the different parts better and the function of the whole. And they also can have a better understanding of the kind of emergence that might happen in this very complex system. Now, this diagram that you have in front of you is the embedded economy diagram. It also appears like the donut model that I showed you earlier. It appears in donut economics as well. And it's the fundamental way that we've organized the regenerative economics course. And I'll show you that in the book in just a minute. But in addition to helping students with more complex systems thinking, there are some other benefits to zooming out this way on the economy. So another one is that the course becomes inherently more interdisciplinary. So we see this with many courses. I've seen it in the IB that many of the courses over time are becoming more interdisciplinary. Economics has been one of the sole holdouts of this kind of siloization of our disciplines. But by zooming out, we see issues of values and power, narratives, history, culture, social norm, politics, law, all kind of like become part of the rich mix of discussion about economic relationships and what the economy is for and the kinds of policies we should be adopting. It also helps to end the human nature dualism because we're so clear about how the economy is embedded in society. It helps break this kind of false understanding that we have that human beings and our economies are separate from nature, right? The diagram and the positioning of the economy embedded in our systems makes it very clear that we are 100% dependent on Earth systems and that everything we do also impacts those systems. So we have to be very careful about how we're designing our economies. And finally, it also allows us to weave in multiple schools of thought into the course in a very natural way because this zooming out invites other kinds of perspectives. Again, a key part of systems thinking. Now, here's where I have a call to sustainability educators, because Michelle said at the very beginning that economics, we think the economics is a missing factor, a missing piece in sustainability education. And I'm always a little bit surprised, not a little bit, but I guess a lot surprised when I hear sustainability educators not recognize this kind of big picture role of the economy in achieving sustainability. So, you know, in sustainability education, we talk a lot about big picture problems, but then oftentimes when we're talking to kids about solutions, we start talking about individual actions. But individual actions don't have a lot of meaning unless you understand the social context, the role of social contagion, right? That zooming out again on our social systems. Or we look at the SDGs and we might cherry pick individual SDGs to kind of slap on a project, but again, missing the integration, the interconnectedness of the SDGs within the wider context of our economic systems. So our call to sustainability educators is to please don't forget the role of the economy and economic design, because this model that I showed you and thinking about the economy, it really does help students see the big picture and get better at the complex systems thinking that we need them to be doing in order to start thinking about the kinds of policies and actions that might help us achieve sustainability. Now, if you think that this is like such an obvious thing, like why am I even talking about this? I want to tell you about something that happened just last week that just stunned me, actually. Well, it doesn't really stun me because I've seen it so often, but continues to surprise me. And that is that in England, they've been doing a review of the national curriculum, the Francis Review, you might have called it. And for years now, including us, we have been making the call that sustainability education should be embedded throughout the curriculum. And we've been making the call in particular for it to be embedded in economics. And the Francis Review released its report last week, and it thankfully recognized the importance of sustainability education, but unbelievably, it said that sustainability education belongs in the sciences, geography, and design and technology. There was no mention of the need for sustainability education embedded into economics. And for me, it's this huge blind spot, the elephant in the room, if you will, for sustainability education. I can't believe that anybody could take sustainability education seriously if we're not really bringing in economics and economic design. So this is my plea to sustainability educators. Please don't forget about the economy because it's really critical. And then I also have a call out to teachers in various other disciplines, because everything that you teach also feeds into our economic system. When we take this big picture view, you can really see how all the other disciplines are connected with the way our economies function. And because we've now made this course more interdisciplinary, it also makes it much easier for teachers who are teaching in the sciences, in business and entrepreneurship programs, in civics, politics, government, law, geography, design technology, whatever it is you're teaching, it's very likely that you're going to find something in this new course that we've put together that will help you make the link also to our economic systems, which again is core, because without thinking about the economy, we have zero chance of making it to that safe and just place. Space for humanity where we're meeting human needs within planetary boundaries. So I've got a call to educators out there to really have a look at what we're doing and make sure that you're embedding, looking for places that you can sprinkle some of regenerative economics in your course. Now, we produced a book to help you do this because there is nobody out there currently in schools who's ever studied regenerative economics. It's new, even though the ideas themselves are not new. In fact, some of them are ancient and actually even embedded in nature's systems. So you could talk about them being, on a geological timescale, really, really ancient. But nobody has studied this in a systematic way who is currently teaching in secondary schools. And so we felt it was really important to develop a book. Now, you've got a physical book sitting here on the screen, but we don't have a physical book. We've produced this as a digital book, and it's done with a Creative Commons license. And that means that you can use whatever you like from the book. You can adapt it, you can take pictures from it, you can redo the text, you can make your own slides, you can, whatever way you find is useful for you, you have the ability to do this. So that's very unlike other tools and textbooks that you've got out there. Yeah, it's open, it's made for you. The book is written for students, and it's got educational materials for 2 years worth of learning, actually probably more than 2 years worth of learning, if I'm honest about it. And you can find the book at regenerativeeconomics.earth as a digital copy only. Now, this book has a couple different purposes, and the book is out there for students and teachers to help them kind of sprinkle in some of this into their mandated courses. But an equally important function of the book is on the institutional side, because we're not just working at the grassroots level with teachers, we're also trying to change mandated national and international curricula. But these are very hard to shift because economics curriculum, once a curriculum is out there, usually what happens is that you only get marginal changes, because making big changes is really scary. It's quite risky for public institutions and also international institutions like the IB. So we've written the book to make it easier for these institutions to let go of the old ideas that are no longer serving us, to hospice or decompose those ideas, because we've done the hard work of digging deep and figuring out what a new approach to economics in secondary schools will look like, and then providing all this out there for anybody to use for free. And that makes it easier to make a bigger shift. And the work that we're doing right now, we've got actually this amazing window of opportunity, because just by chance, not by design, but by chance, a number of national governments and also the International Baccalaureate are revising economics or their entire national curriculum right now. And these are all the countries and institutions, the IB, in which we are actively working to shape new economics curriculum. And the responses so far from the organizations involved, England notwithstanding, and we've got a plan B and C for them, so look out for that, but have been quite positive. And so we feel really, it's one of the areas, I think, in a world full of chaos and bad news oftentimes, that we can be really excited about. The book you can find on our website, which is here in the left-hand menu. We've got all the topics that we cover. And you can use the drop-down menus in those to find the text. The way that the textbook is organized is according to the embedded economy model. So we've got an introduction that introduces students to that embedded economy model. So you can see, after a brief introduction of what is the economy, we then move into ecology in the economy. So that's that ecological embeddedness. And then we move on to society in the economy, that's social embeddedness. And then we do just a big, broad brush overview of what a regenerative economy is. And you can see those 3 points I made about circularity, distribution, and care sitting there in that section. The next 4 sections are all about the 4 provisioning institutions. And I'm not going to go through each one of these slides because there's too much information there for the time that we have, but we'll leave that there so that you can see it in the video later. But we have a separate topic on each of these provisioning institutions where we dig down into what these are, sort of systems within systems, and the relationships between each one of these and the other provisioning institutions. And you can see, again, I've circled that centerpiece in the economy, in the embedded economy model. And then we've got a section, topic 6 is on money and finance. Topic 7 will be on global interactions. We haven't published that yet. We've just started writing it. And so hopefully that will be out, well, as soon as we can put that out. But we also have a separate topic on systems thinking and models that can help your students learn some of the basics around systems thinking that are then applied throughout the course. We've written so far 134 of about 160 textbook sections. And one of the things that we've done for teachers to help you figure out how to sprinkle in little pieces of this into your course is some curriculum mapping. So we have looked at 8 curricula from around the world, and we have put them into a spreadsheet. And then we have indicated which sections of the Regenerative Economics textbook you can link up with your mandated courses. That helps you find the footholds for the work. These are some other ways that we support teachers. So we've done virtual labs, and also just below that, you'll see these professional development videos. These are on our YouTube channel, so you can go over there and find out more about some of these particular topics, because we've done little videos associated with them, and we'll be adding to that over time. We also do live workshops and presentations. We've done about 17 of those, actually no, now 18, because I just got back from one yesterday, in 8 different countries right now. So that's been really fun, and that's a way to connect directly with teachers and with students in different places. The curriculum maps I've already mentioned. We also give one-on-one advice to teachers. So I have teachers contacting me all the time to ask for advice about how to set up a unit. Or for example, we're supporting directly the International School of The Hague, because they're running the world's first 2-year-long regenerative economics course. And we're also starting to produce more singular activities to just help teachers, pick up little pieces, quick things that they can do in their classes. The one that you see here is a really fun storyboard activity I just did with 300 students in a group yesterday at the United World College in The Hague. That was really fun. But this is a storyboard activity about the narrative of scarcity that starts economics courses, and how we can flip that to a narrative of sufficiency, and what that would mean for the way we develop an economics course. Now, yeah. Once again, we've got a YouTube channel with video explanations of the project that we'll be adding to over time. We would also encourage you to join our community. You can sign up for a newsletter. We do one once a month with updates on the project. And we also have a LinkedIn page for the project where you can follow us and see the posts that we're making with updates. And that's it. This is the website and the QR code if you want to, if you feel more comfortable scanning it. Thanks so much for your attention and for coming along today. I really appreciate it. And I think now we have some time for questions.